Hello
Hi.
and welcome to episode 15 of That'll Be the Tism, a podcast for late diagnosed and discovered autistic and ADHD adults. What's wrong?
Did you say episode then?
Yeah,
Or did you just say 15?
episode 15. I think you froze.
Oh, because for me it just went 15 of, and I'm like, she's even more incoherent than usual. This isn't starting off very well.
I said, welcome to episode 15, I think. 15? I
Yeah.
think yes, because we had Trish and she was 13. And
Mm-hmm.
then we had Tom Katz and he was 15. No, he was 14. That's not how numbers work. He was 14 and now we are 15.
Who knows
Who knows?
what this one will be called? Maybe that's a good place to start early on in the podcast this time to
We
say,
could.
why is the last episode called similar to Tomcat?
Do we want to talk about ferret bums right at the beginning of the podcast, though?
Well, I mean, if we were ever going to talk about furry bums, then we might as well get it out with a
We
winner,
have to
wouldn't
because
we?
basically it was from when we were talking about ferret bums and where ferret testicles are on the body of a ferret. And they are in a similar place to where they are on tomcats. But instead of tomcats, it capitalized it and
Yeah,
made it into a person with a K and a Z, and we thought it was
yeah,
quite amusing.
male cats. Other candidates were just Bruce Jones, who we found out during the editing process was the person who played Les Battersby in Coronation Street,
Yes,
which
we
is
do.
a soap opera in the UK. Do
Yeah,
they
for
have
those of
soap
us
operas in America? They do, don't they? They call them
in
soap operas.
India and Argentina and
Oh,
places. We've
yeah.
got new places. So if you're listening in one of those places, then welcome to our very strange podcast. We are glad you are here.
Yes.
And also, it's probably worth mentioning right at the beginning that we've had some very positive feedback this week
Hmm.
from a few different places, and thank you very much, and we're grateful.
Yes, thanks. We just join this meeting every 2 weeks and like we don't think about the words that come out of our mouth. And then you edit it and you start thinking, is this something other people will want to listen to?
Yeah,
And it's always nice to get feedback that
yeah.
suggests that in fact people do want to listen to us.
And we're amusing sometimes.
Yeah,
It's nice because I mean, often I think I'm funny, but I never expect other people to think I'm funny because, you know,
I just try because it's a way of fitting in, and if you can make somebody laugh,
yeah.
then you're
So yeah,
laughing.
yeah. Well, everyone's laughing all the time.
Everyone's laughing all of the time. With
So
me and not at me.
with you, yes.
Yeah.
So yes, thank you for joining us. Thank you for giving feedback, and thank you for being existing.
Thank you for being
Thank you
existing.
for being existing. As my t-shirt says on the back, the world is a better place with you in it.
Thanks. I think so too.
Yeah. So today, so much has happened to me over the past fortnight. I've had lots of big things happen, and I went back on TikTok to talk about my going on to ADHD meds, which still hasn't happened, but I had my ECG, thinking, right, this is going to be the thing that I talk about that's going to get me back onto TikTok. And then the following day, I went to the dentist for the first time in 15 years. I wasn't expecting that at the time. So I posted about that on TikTok. And then so many things happened that it's just became too much for TikToking. All of the people of TikTok would just be like, she's making this up because this isn't all happening at the same time. So I've stopped posting on TikTok again, but I will get back to it. I've just joined a 30-day challenge for Reels this morning that I've already forgotten about, but I will get back to that at some point in the future, this week maybe. But yeah, we've had lots of things happen.
Hmm. But you have, we were saying at the beginning, weren't we? You've had, as one would expect for an ADHD person, had lots of things to hyper-focus on. And I haven't really had very much. So it's lucky for me that I'm doing a podcast with A, an ADHD person, and B, a person that goes outside of the house, because otherwise I'd have absolutely nothing to talk about.
I mean, some of the things I just would have liked to have not happened though. I mean, my car
Well,
broke
yeah.
down. I have wanted to go to the dentist for a substantial number of years. I hadn't been for 15 years. But also, the reason I went was because I thought I had an abscess in my mouth. That was very painful. And so that's happened. And then I've had issues with school. And then I've had a couple of big conversations around my business and had to resign from things. And it's been lots of big things. But yeah, I think the main hyper focus of the week is going to have to have been, well, there's three things I want to talk about. One is my dentist, the other is my car, and the other is briefly, which I'll start with first, the hike I went on. So I posted more mushroom pictures, and I wanted to thank the listener who had recommended the walk that we went on. It was mine and my fiance's 4th anniversary last week. We are halfway through our engagement, so this time next year we'll have just come back from our honeymoon, or we'll be on our way back from our honeymoon. And we went for a really nice walk, but it was getting a bit late because we'd spent the morning car shopping, which wasn't supposed to happen. And then we took a detour because it was going to get dark and we didn't want to be stuck out in the wilderness in the dark. So we looked on the OS map and we went through this wooded area that shaved about a mile off the length of the walk. Only when we got into it, it was essentially a bog and there was fallen trees across it. So we spent
Oh
like an hour
no.
trekking through this woodland area. And because I have no coordination, I've got dyspraxia, and so I have to really focus on the floor if I'm not going to fall over because I'll trip on anything. And because I was looking on the floor, it was difficult for me to see the fallen trees that were coming up in front of me, resulting in a couple of quite severe bangs. One particular, I was just walking and just walked straight into this tree, and my partner's just in front of me, and I'm like yelled out. And he's just like, "Did you just walk into that? It's right in front of you." I'm like, "Yeah, but because the floor is boggy and muddy, I have to look at the floor as I'm walking, otherwise I'll fall over like a nettle or like a leaf or something that normal people wouldn't fall over because of the dyspraxia." So it was an adventure. There was some very interesting fungus on the trees.
Yeah.
I was convinced for probably half of it that we were about to get attacked by. I can't believe I'm saying this out loud. I so one of my biggest fears is being in the woods in the dark, and it was very, very eerily quiet in these woods. And one of the funguses was really weird and it was quite prevalent. It was like everywhere on all the trees. And I convinced myself that actually it wasn't a fungus, it was an alien life form that had come to attack us. Yeah, 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 really. So, like, I walked into the tree and apologised that I didn't mean to disturb the fungus and all this. Yeah, I got a bit in my head about it.
Well, you never know, do you? Because if you didn't say sorry, then I might have just been doing the podcast with an alien right now.
It was an exciting adventure. I was quite grateful to get out of the wooded area.
And you saw some nice mushrooms thanks to our
Well, yes,
mushroom guru.
when you were coming down the hill from the trig point, the field was full of mushrooms. Like, if I'd have tried to take photos of all of them, it would have been impossible. It was insane. There was absolutely loads and loads and loads and loads of different yellow and orange and red mushrooms. And it was lovely. And it was really good. And so, yeah, we walked through the woodland area. It was really boggy. We finally got back to the car. My calves were absolutely wrecked from trying to balance for like an hour while we were trekking through the woods. And that was that. But it was nice. It was a nice walk. We made it back in time for the light to not be gone. And then we got a takeaway and we got home. And that was our main restful day of the break because we were looking for a car. My car failed its MOT by £1,800 and I had to buy a new car because my car wasn't worth £1,800 in the first place. So I had to get a car last week, and there is going to be a TikTok this week talking about Money Week. And so there is going to be a TikTok at some point this week, probably before this podcast is released, about my journey from horrific credit, lots of debt twice, to now being able to apply for a car loan and get a car loan without any questions, which was something I'm incredibly proud of. But it's just not something I intended on doing while I was on holiday. We just have to
Yeah.
think of the positives in that we were on holiday, so we didn't have work to worry about. We didn't have my son to worry about because he was at his dad's, so we could just get over the initial stress of being told that the car was not roadworthy, taking it to scrap, sorting all that out. I need to ring the scrap company because they still haven't paid me, but never mind. And then finding a car. But once I saw the car that I wanted, I knew that I was going to buy it. So, I mean, if I'd have got there and the test drive had been rubbish, I wouldn't have. But I'm like very much see something and make a decision, and that's it. There's no change in my mind. So I've got an orange car, which is brilliant and it's lovely, and my phone attaches to it, and it has Apple CarPlay, and I can see my sat nav, and I put my phone away and then I can't get distracted by my phone when I'm at traffic lights. But I do need a fidget for the car because I need a fidget for the car for when I'm at traffic lights because I get antsy if I don't have anything to fidget with. And I usually
Hmm.
fidget with my phone, which I know I shouldn't do. And it's definitely not a negative thing that my phone is now hidden away, but it's something that, um, yeah. So,
Yeah, I said to you, didn't I, that it was probably lucky. As horrible as it was to have happened, it was lucky that it happened last week and you had a bit more time to be able to
yeah,
go.
we didn't have to worry about it around anything else. That could just be the main thing. And
Yeah.
although I could have done with a few days without the stress of having to buy a new car,
I think it would have been more stressful this week
it
having
would have
to
been a
do
lot more
that, to
stressful
sort
if I'd
that
have
out,
been
wouldn't it?
working. Yeah, absolutely. If
Yeah.
I'd have been working and I'd had my son, and this week we're also getting kittens. We're getting two new kittens tomorrow, so that's exciting. So yeah,
Tune into the next podcast for kittens, maybe.
there will be kittens at least spoken about because they're definitely going to be a hyper focus for the next fortnight. And I haven't spoken about the dentist, but I've been talking for quite a long time. We
That's
can
fine.
definitely speak about that another time because next Monday I am having a filling, so we can speak about the dentist. So look forward to that, listeners.
Next time we're going to talk about the dentist.
Dentist and kittens, not at the same.
Dentist.
Fingers crossed. I don't think the dentist would appreciate if I took my kitten with me.
I think they would.
Do you?
I would if somebody turned up with a kitten.
Shall I do it and let you know?
This actually relates to, it's not my hyperfocus of the week because I think my hyperfocus of the week is probably, it wasn't work, it was getting back into work after my holiday, and I found that really difficult transitioning back to being a working person again. But the other hyperfocus is a TikTok page that's got little furry animals that have got like missing legs and like cleft palates and things like that. And why was I getting onto that topic?
Well,
Oh, because one of the TikToks was they'd rescue them from all over America, and this woman was flying home on a plane with this tiny little 1 pound Yorkshire terrier
oh,
that has a cleft palate back to New York, and she had it in her coat. And she was just like this with it, and then the flight attendant came along and this little head poked out. So that is proof that fluffy things can be joyful. I shouldn't say this sentence. Fluffy things can be joyful wherever you find them. But I'm going to.
that's fair.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely going to say that's what she said.
Yeah.
So you're
Yeah.
welcome.
Yeah. Fluffy
I
things.
am definitely going to be one of those parents that embarrasses their child by saying that's what she said. As soon as he knows what it means, he's just going to have to cope with it because I'll be the one that's embarrassing
Hmm.
in multiple ways, but that's going to be one of the ways.
So we've talked about the fluffy things. So my only hyper focus this week really was getting
Apart
back
from the fluffy
into
thing.
work. Yeah. Apart from finding the fluffy things where you least expect them,
Hmm.
is work again, because when you've had time off, which you'll probably be finding today, it's hard to transition back into working and doing what you're meant to be doing and being on a schedule. On the Wednesday, I had a lot of stuff that I knew I needed to do, and I just couldn't get into doing anything. I was sat there in the morning and I was doing bits because I can't just sit there and do nothing, but I was finding it really difficult to be motivated. And then somebody said to me, "Oh, I've been doing this thing and it's the most monotonous task in the world." And my brain went, "I'm going to volunteer to help them with that." So I did, because I thought the monotony of it might kick my brain back into, A, it'll be something that I enjoy, because it was literally look at this, do this, and then repeat the process. So I did that for an entire day pretty much, and it was pretty much what I needed to get myself back into being motivated. And
Good.
I've been reasonably all right since, but it was a struggle for the
Mm.
beginning of last week to get back into sitting at my desk and not being an all-inclusive buffet.
Yeah. Monotonous things are useful though because they do help with process transitions. I
Yeah.
know if I'm feeling unsettled, if I've got a bank account to reconcile, I know that's going back to my old job, but I still do have a couple of banks that I reconcile
Mm.
for one person. And if I can do that for like half an hour and just like put an hour aside for that while my brain processes everything else I need to process, then it does help to do something monotonous that you know you can do and that is comfortable and that you don't need to think about and let your brain go on
Yeah.
its merry thing. It's like doing a jigsaw, isn't it, at the end of the day?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, it's doing a jigsaw, but a
Without the
work
colours.
one that, and also it was something that I knew that this other person was likely finding really hard to get through,
Yeah,
because they don't find that sort of thing
no.
nice to do, whereas I do. So I was not beating myself up about it to start off with, but I was like fretting a little bit that I was doing that and I wasn't doing all the other stuff that I needed to do. But I don't think I would have been doing it even if I hadn't have been doing the monotonous task.
No, because you wouldn't have
And
been able to
it's
focus.
yeah, and it's nice to recognize sometimes that like you've got to give your brain that space to get back into everything, rather than like
Definitely.
it's starting your first day back off of leave with a day full of meetings and
Yeah.
yeah,
So,
talking all day.
I mean, yeah, I mean, when you said you'll be experiencing this today, and you know I'm experiencing it today because it is 25 to 7, and normally we're editing by now, and we're not
Mm-hmm.
even on the main section.
No, but we can be if
We're
we
going to be
want.
any second now, aren't we? I
Yeah.
think. Are you ready for the main section? That's quite a smooth. So,
Yeah.
well, it was until I pointed out that it was quite smooth. But
We're
moving
being really smooth right now.
really smooth.
How
Yeah,
professional are we?
very
15 episodes
professional.
in.
The only thing I haven't done is share the audio on my computer so that you can hear the rave. I've remembered the last couple of times.
I'm getting my
Uh,
rave arms ready.
yeah, yeah, your rave arm's ready. I put my
Listeners will
toy,
not be aware of the visual brilliance of the rave. We
fidget
recommend
toys.
that
See,
after you've watched
my
one,
mum watches it on Spotify because the video's on
does
Spotify as well. So she listens and watches. So some of our Spotify followers may not just be YouTube that watch us.
well, my mum drop. Is it a mum drop? Mum name
Mum
drop?
drop
Yeah.
that works.
Take mum mention of the week.
Sounds like you're stuttering,
Listen,
doesn't it? Mum mention of the
watches
week.
mum mention of the week. Watches it on YouTube because she can't understand Spotify, even though I've put it on her phone before.
Oh.
And that's okay.
It is okay, but I am going to say that it's a tech win for my mum. Sorry,
Yeah.
Claire's mum, but yeah, my mum listens to it on Spotify. But we've been through
Well done.
Spotify, so
Well done,
but
Emma's
watches
mum.
it as well. Watches it on Spotify. Anyway, rave. Yeah, arms ready.
Mm.
Good. That'll do.
Anyway,
Ready?
main tech segment section. I still 15 episodes in and I still don't know if it's a segment or a section.
One or the other. Both, in fact, because they're the same thing essentially, aren't they? But we're going to talk about hate.
Mm.
Well, it's not a nice topic, really, is it? But we're going to talk about hate within the autistic community and other autistic people judging us and giving us negative feedback. And it's not us that's inspired this, just to be clear. It's
Mm-hmm.
a person on TikTok called, you're going to have to say,
ADHD Darcy.
yeah, who
Yes.
seems like a very lovely person and does really good TikToks. I'm not great at watching them, but I've watched a few of them now since you sent me this one to watch. And basically, they were saying about posting about applying for PIP and the negative backlash from the autistic community, saying about how they shouldn't do scrounging and that other people work, so why can't they? And all of this other stuff that was very negative and hurtful. And I
Mm.
mean, we're talking about a real person with real feelings and also rejection sensitivity because ADHD. And what the hell, basically. And it got to you, didn't it? And then it got to me. And I mean, I
Yeah.
know I've had experience of people not appreciating the fact that I've taken my knowledge about my own autism and I've learned about it, changed my life, benefited from having found out and made a career out of it. And I know that I've experienced that in my own life from people that I used to class as friends, really. But when you're in a public place like TikTok and it's a lot of people, I've been quite lucky that I've only had the odd troll on my TikTok. I've never had a massive amount of backlash and hate yet, so hopefully I won't get that. But we wanted to talk about it, really, didn't we?
Yeah, because I think that what she was saying in this particular TikTok is that you sort of expect it from people that aren't neurodivergent and that don't know that everybody's experience is different. But people that aren't very tolerant of other people and judgmental people that you tend to find, especially on the internet, because it's so easy to just facelessly spout things with no consequences, isn't it? Like you can say anything really on the internet within reason, and there can be very little consequences for it. I think laws and things are getting a lot better, but you don't normally expect it from a person that is also experiencing autism or ADHD. I know that my experience of autism is different to yours, and there's reasons. The big reason for that probably is because you've also got ADHD and the sort of intermingling of those traits playing off against one another. But equally, nobody's autism is the same, is it? Like, I will struggle with an entirely different set of things to what you will, to what someone else will walking down the street that's autistic. So to be in the community and have people who know how hard it is to be neurodivergent and to try and fit in a world that's not built for you, say that it's just because you're not trying hard enough. One of the comments I think was something like, there's people that just get on with it and they take the adjustments, and then there's people that just take handouts. Well, A, how do you know that this person's just taking handouts? You
I
don't know
mean,
what they need in the money for because they don't have to share everything about their life on the internet. And B, if you're a sort of person that does still work and is able to still work and asks for adjustments, you're asking for those adjustments and you're able to get those adjustments because your autism or ADHD or ADHD or whatever type of neurodivergence you've got is a disability.
yeah, I mean,
It
there's a lot of
wasn't.
people that deny because ableism, I mean, I know we've spoke about ableism a
Mm.
few times, but the inability to accept that it's okay to ask for help and that asking for help isn't a weakness and that actually everybody that needs help deserves to get help is really toxic. It is like ableism can be really, really toxic. And if they are people who are carrying on blindly, they're obviously resentful of something, otherwise they wouldn't be ranting on the internet. So whatever it is you're resentful for, whatever it is you're missing that would make your life easier, then ask for that. At the end of the day, if there's something that you're angry about because, oh, just get on with it. But why should you just get on with it? Like, why is it not okay to ask for help?
You don't get
Um,
any more special points for not asking for help and not asking for what you need, do you? It's almost like a tiered version of autism where you're saying that those people that need to ask for help for whatever they have deemed that they need to ask for help with are lesser than you because you don't need to ask for that help and you manage to sort of struggle through. And if it's not a struggle for you, then fantastic.
great.
But
Essentially,
if it
give
is
you
a
as an
struggle for somebody,
advantage.
why would you rather that they continue to struggle
I
than
mean,
get the
help
help that they need?
help isn't asked for and given to give people an advantage. It's to give people the same chances as people that don't have the same struggles. Help is there to provide the support needed to give someone the same chance as other people. It's not about how it's easier to do XYZ when you've got the support, and then why should they get the help and we don't get the help?
Mm,
Well, if you needed the help, then go and
mm,
get it. You know, if you don't need the help, then good for you. I'm sure the person getting the help doesn't want to need the help. It's not like we're saying, oh, I know what, I'll just ask for this because, I may as well get given this free advantage. But no, because filling in forms for PIP and applying for help takes a lot of executive function that we don't have, a lot of fighting against our own rejection sensitivity, and it's a really, really difficult thing to do and to talk about because of the masses of stigma around it. So, why would people in our own community then turn around and say, no, you shouldn't be doing this, you should just carry on struggling and not say anything? It's really important to advocate for other people that are going through this stuff and that don't have the courage, because it is really brave to talk about it on TikTok and on social media. It's really important to advocate for this so that the people that don't know the help is there and that don't know they can get the help and that maybe don't have the confidence to get the help might see it and think, oh, this person's done it, that means I might be able to do it. And then if those people that really need the support, if all they're seeing is comments saying you're scrounging and you shouldn't be doing this and you shouldn't be doing that, and basically being judged for accessing something that is there. I mean, PIP isn't easy to get. You know from personal experience as well, don't you? That
yeah,
it's
I was just gonna say, so I'll get this off my chest. You're saying it, you look at it and you think people think that you're scrounging. Since I was 13, I didn't know I was autistic, but I have had a disability since that time, a disability that affects my mobility. And for the longest time, I've always said, when people have said, oh, you should apply for PIT, you should apply for benefits, you should have a blue badge, because I did have one when I were a kid. I've always said, no, 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 not until I need it, not until I need it. And even I sort of thought enough is enough here. I actually do need it. I've probably needed it for a long time now, but I haven't wanted to take it off of somebody else. Even then, I felt the stigma of I've applied for this, but I can't really tell anybody about it because they're going to think, well, why is she asking for this money when she's working? Well, yeah, I'm working, but I'm not working healthily. It's not, I'm working to pay my bills. I know that's what a lot of people do, but I'm going to work and I'm struggling through a full-time working week, which I've done pretty much since I left school. And I've got no time for myself because I'm just exhausted after work. I can't keep up with housework and things like that. But I try because that's what society tells you need to do. You need to have a lovely clean house and work 37 and a half hours a week. But I've got a disability that means that that has been really difficult. But because society's told me that that's what I need to do, that's what I've been doing for the past 20 years or so. And it's taken me a really long time. And when I applied for PIP, originally I got turned down for it. And I thought, oh, well, fair enough, I must just not need it enough, then I'll just carry on how I am. And then when I reread the report and it was saying things like you're not seeking help for your mental health, and at the time I'd already told them that I was seeking an autism diagnosis, and they said you can get to work in the morning, and I work from home, and I literally walk from my bedroom into the office. It
well,
sort of starts to make you feel a bit mad, like I have mobility issues, and I'm still feeling like I'm not worthy enough to ask for the support that I need so that I don't have to worry about things like housework, and if I need to order a food shop rather than going out to the shop, which I find really difficult, I don't have to worry about doing that. I can use that money towards that sort of thing.
And I think I remember rightly, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that in that report, one of the issues was that you hadn't been asking for painkillers because you don't like taking
No, because
medication,
it,
and that you
it's
hadn't been asking for painkillers, and the fact that you hadn't been asking because you didn't want to ask for help meant that they couldn't count the pain as
they said
severe
that it
enough.
meant that I wasn't struggling enough, but when we look at autism and how that can mean that you've got a higher pain threshold, which we've
Yeah,
spoken about before in one of our episodes,
yeah.
my autism, unbeknownst to me all of these years, has been masking my pain. But that doesn't mean that if I think about it, that I'm not in pain. And it equally doesn't mean that my joints aren't in such a state as they are that I find mobilizing very difficult. So it wasn't until I got this is the ramble that I was going on. I got it and they turned me down for everything. And originally I was like, I'm not going to bother, I'm not going to waste anybody's time. And then I thought, I've had an hour and a half meeting where I've gone through everything, found it very difficult. I've already written down a load of stuff that I struggle with, and they'd clearly not referenced any of that. And apparently, and I don't know if this is true, but about 70% of people that apply for PIP also get turned down the first time that they go for it, and they have to go for what's called the mandatory reconsideration, which is what I had to do. So it's jumping over all these hoops to be able to get what you need to make your life a little bit easier, which is that's not always a monetary thing. In the case of PIP, it is, but in terms of so many things in a neurodivergent person's lives, you are having to ask and ask and ask and ask just to get something that a neurotypical person would.
Can do without thinking.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I mean when I say it's not to gain an advantage. It's just
no.
to be able to live at the same standard as somebody who doesn't have the disability.
Mm.
And if you're already living at that standard and your neurodivergence isn't impacting you in a way that is disabling, then good for you. But I mean, we said this last time that the reason why a lot of neurodivergent conditions are disabling is because of how society is built. But if you've managed to create your world around you so that that doesn't limit you, then that's great. But you shouldn't be bad mouthing people that haven't been able to do that and that can't do that in their lives, you know?
And the other thing that we were saying before this as well is you've also got to bear in mind people's comorbidities and the fact that it's more likely that a neurodivergent person will also struggle from another medical condition, for example, digestive issues, mobility issues, and the specific conditions that are more likely
There's a
if you're
lot of
neurodivergent, isn't it? So it's not just a case of I'm autistic and you're autistic, and that means if I don't struggle, you shouldn't struggle.
Absolutely. And I mean, when we were talking about this earlier, I was talking about, is it Kerry Badnock? I can't remember her name. The first.
Yes, the Conservative Party leader.
Yeah, Kerry Badnock, and what she has said about mobility cars for people with ADHD. And I heard this on a podcast called More or Less, which is a BBC podcast that my fiance listens to and now I listen to. We've been power washing. The Power Wash 2 game came out and we have been power washing for the past week and a half and it's brilliant. Anyway, we've been listening to podcasts, so there's a few podcast related things. And one of them was that Kerry Badenoch was saying how mobility cars aren't going to be given to people with ADHD. They're going to be kept for people with serious disabilities. And there was some stats used, and it was quite far into the podcast before they gave the point that I initially said, which was that people aren't given mobility cars just for ADHD. You have to have quite a high score on the mobility side of the PIP application to get a mobility car. And most of those people, if not all of those people that get mobility cars that have ADHD, will have comorbid conditions. And it basically came to it that in the report that was issued with the percentage of the people that have mobility cars awarded that have ADHD, where it said actually that doesn't factor in any other conditions. It just says the people that have ADHD, they can't tell which of those people have other conditions and what
Mm.
those conditions are and everything else. So it's based on something that doesn't happen. People don't tend to get mobility cars. I mean, there is an element of being able to get from place to place and being able to travel safely on public transport and that kind of thing that some people with ADHD struggle with. But you
There's
wouldn't
the
get a
two
mobility car just based on that.
there's two elements of PIP, and you have to get
Yeah.
the higher rate on the mobility side to be able to get.
Which you
You have to
wouldn't
get the
get.
higher rate anyway.
You
Which
wouldn't get
I've
different.
not got that.
No. So that was another thing. I know that's ADHD, but it was another thing that was worth mentioning because it's a similar topic to this. It's just
Mm.
about how it's not easy to get benefits based on. I mean, I wouldn't be eligible for PIP based on my neurodivergence. I don't have any other significant comorbid conditions that impact my mobility. So there's no way that I would get PIP, and I haven't applied for it, but there's no
I
point.
think the main thing I would say in sort of summary of it all is it's not just a case of you fill out a form and then you just get all of this money. There's a lot of different things that you need to do to get to that point. And it's not gospel, but if 70% of people are turned down the first time that they apply for PIP, then it's
It's
not as
not.
easy as it's being made out. It's not a handout.
No. And if people are getting it, then they need it. And
They
if
need it and they
people are
don't owe you an explanation for
no.
why they've got it either.
And if people are applying for it and they've overcome all the hurdles, all the mental hurdles on the side of rejection sensitivity, on the side of not wanting to ask for help, on the side of their own ableism, which we all have as late diagnosed adults, there's a part of most of us that feel like we should be able to just get on with it. And when somebody else turns around, especially somebody else who is autistic, a part of the same community, if they turn around and say, but you should be able to just get on with it. It's kind of playing to our own sort of internalized ableism that's a nagging
Hmm.
voice, there. So it's not okay. It's just not okay to be a dick to other people. So you've either got it's not a big enough issue for you, or you're in denial and you're refusing to get the help you need and that you're entitled to, and you're resentful of that. And so you're taking it out on other people that have found the strength to fight it and
Mm.
to ask for help. If you're in a situation where you're struggling but refusing to ask the help out of bloody mindedness, then that's your issue to deal with. You don't take it out on other people that have done the work on themselves, that have gained the confidence, that have found the strength to ask for the help that they need.
It's just playing into all the stereotypes of what neurodivergence is, and that doesn't really help anybody because when we're trying to make the world more accepting of neurodivergence, playing into the well, it's this or it's this and it's black and white is not helpful to anybody in understanding the different struggles that different people face with these conditions.
So that's just a little rant, I think, about how people should just be nice and accepting and not assume that
Accepting, yeah.
it's not projecting our own situations onto other people, is it really? And accepting that people have the intelligence and the self-understanding to know what they need and to ask for it. We make our own decisions for ourselves based
Mm.
on the research we've done and the knowledge we have. So don't be a dick to other people and make assumptions and project
Have a little think before you say, well, I
you're
don't
wrong.
need that, so you shouldn't, because you're in a community where everybody's different and that should be celebrated.
So yeah, that's our main segment. And thank you to Darcy for being the inspiration for that little rant.
Yes, and keep if you do happen to listen to this, just keep doing what you're doing because
Yeah,
every
good.
person that talks about their experience of neurodivergence is helping other people to understand that everybody's experience is different.
And to feel validated in a lot of
And to
ways.
feel validated, and someone will listen to what you have said and it will help them and they'll feel seen and they'll feel understood.
I know when I
Um,
posted my TikTok about the dentist, my final comment on the TikTok was if one person has watched this and books a dentist
mhm,
appointment because of my experience after like 10, 15 years, then this will have been worth sharing. And you're welcome. Because
mm,
it's really important that I mean, you don't have to share your experience, like we've discussed in other episodes as well. You don't have to talk about your own experience of
no.
autism, but if you can and if you want to, then it is beneficial because the more people that do, as you just said, Claire, the more people that do, the more other people that need to hear it will hear it. And
Mm. It
that's the
just it
important
it
thing.
just helps to change the perceptions
Yeah,
of
absolutely.
these conditions
So,
being one thing.
so the trait of the week is naming things.
Hmm.
So I got my new car and she's called Mabel. It's weird because I've had 3 cars that I've bought myself. My ex-boyfriend's mum gave us my first car, who was a Saxo, Sam the Saxo, and she'd also named him, so I didn't need to. But then I had Mavis the Mini, and then I had Marvis the Mariva, and now I've got Mabel the Mocker. And they've all been M's. It's weird, isn't it? M
Hmm.
cars. I was just like, but I can't use Mavis because I've already done that. And I did toy with the idea of Mildred, but I think Mabel's better.
Yeah, I
No
think it
offense
could
to
do
any
with that.
Mildreds out there. But yeah, Mabel the Mocker.
See, I just went with names that I felt were they just spoke to me as car names. Like my first car was called Clive. He was a,
You had Cla-
and this is the other thing is this a Tism thing forming an emotional attachment to a car? Because I
Yes.
know when Mavis went to the great car
Oh my God, I was so
place in the sky,
heartbroken.
yeah,
Oh my
and
God, I think on
when Clive went, I mean, I still think about Clive sometimes now, and Alberto, who
Is
was my mini. Sometimes I still look up his license plate, Alberto,
it
on
still going?
it's still going, even though they told me
Oh,
that it needed £8,000 for a new engine,
I
and
wonder if
that will
they.
have been. I just check occasionally. I don't. Every time I check, I think he's going to have been scrapped this year, but he hasn't been yet. And then I've got Phil, who is a grey Corsa, and that's why he's called Phil after Philip Schofield. But that's not really like very PC anymore, is it?
I'm really sorry, but I'm about to have a meltdown. It's fine.
What?
I can't remember Mavis's number plate, and I feel really awful. You know, like how when you forget things that you shouldn't forget,
It'll
and
be on
it feels like a major thing, and then it just throws you completely, yeah? One of those things. I can't
yeah.
remember Mavis's number plate.
It'll be on Facebook, won't it?
I mean, I just what? How?
Actual pictures of Mavis, surely.
I do have pictures of Mavis, but I'm just gonna. Oh my God, how can I forget? How can I forget Mavis's number plate, Claire? That's really horrible. I feel
Well,
like
no, because you don't need to know it anymore. You
I'm,
don't want to know.
oh, but I feel like I'm somehow betraying her by having forgotten. You know, it's like when someone dies and you forget their birthday. Ah, got it. All right, here we go. Oh my God, I've genuinely nearly just cried.
Because you felt like you'd betrayed Mavis.
Oh, she's gone.
She's gone. She did
The
do a lot of
MOT,
work, though,
the
did
MOT
Mavis?
expired on February 2024. Oh my God. You know, 2023 MOT,
Hmm.
she'd done 157,000 miles.
I bet you did most of them.
That little mini. Yeah, so I'd done like 105,000 in her. When I got rid of her, I thought she was going to fail her MOT, which is why I got rid of her when I did. Although I had to get rid of her because my son, who was 18 months old at the time, who I was lifting in and out of the back of a 3-door Mini in his car seat, I couldn't lift
Hmm.
him over the seat very safely. And we were in COVID, and I missed the MOT date by a week. And it wasn't extended, and I thought she was going to fail her MOT, and then she went and passed her MOT later that day, and I was absolutely gutted because I would have been able to get her through. and not basically give her away. Anyway, Mavis and me, she was my best mate. She was my best mate for quite some time. For
Thanks.
a long time. Sorry. She was she was one of my best mates. But I mean, I drove about 25,000 miles a year at one time.
Yeah, you never drove me that far.
And no,
Not physically, anyway.
oh my
Um,
God. I mean, that's a different podcast.
mm,
Um, yeah, sorry for not driving you, Claire. Um, maybe driving you mad.
well, that's not what I was insinuating at all. Um, you'll be pleased to know that Alberto's still going.
I'm
I
not
just
pleased
checked.
because he's older than Mavis.
Is he?
Well,
Yeah, he is.
she was
3 years older,
29.
yeah.
But I mean, she'd done 157,000 miles by
I don't.
February 2023. So in the 3 years after I said goodbye to her, she did 16,000 in total. And then, yeah, then it
Working
expired last February. Oh, that's made me quite sad.
Alberto. 87,952.
Yeah, see,
That's why he's still going.
that's why it's still going.
So the other thing that we name that we've mentioned in episode 1 and then never again
Yeah.
is that we call our brain Brian. I mean,
Our
our
brain.
separate brains, we don't have the same brain.
We had like one big just suspended somewhere between Manchester and Doncaster
Yeah.
over the Pennines. That was-
Sometimes considering my processing skills, I think that's probably, like dial-up. Just
yeah, yeah,
dialing over it's just dialing over the Pennines.
where the brain is stored. Brian lives somewhere in a shed on Woodhead with
Yeah.
very limited phone signal. That's where he lives.
Yeah, the
Um,
dial-up tone. That's what processing feels like sometimes, isn't it? And that's
absolutely.
why, because
That's why.
Brian is
There he
just
is.
in a shed on Woodhead.
But he started as a typo, didn't it? And then
I just adopted it
we
as a
just
thing
adopted it. But
that.
the thing is, when I found out about neurodivergence and I was reading up about how it's easier to give our brains a name because we talk to ourselves quite often. And it's a lot easier to take instruction from another person than it is to take instruction from ourselves. And so if
Hmm.
we give our brain a name, it like gives them their own little identity, and then you can have a conversation and not feel quite so weird doing it because it's not at all weird to have named your brain a different name to your own.
So
Uh,
why do we name objects then?
because of the connection, because you can have more of a connection with something and find it easier to have a conversation with. And at the end of the day, if you're in the car chatting away, like I do, to the car,
Hmm.
like processing your day, verbal processing, talking out loud, da 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 da, if you're talking to a thing, just makes it easier.
That makes a lot of sense. And
Just it,
considering that half of our cars were named before we even knew that we were autistic.
yeah, yeah, most of mine.
And
I've
I've talked to all of my cars, not so much to Phil, because Phil doesn't really go anywhere. But
Yeah. See, this is the first car I've known since I found out about neurodivergence, but it's not the
mm,
first car I've named. The name isn't quite properly bedded in yet at the moment. I'm still talking about Marv quite a bit, comparing her to Marv. But yeah,
but we don't compare.
we don't compare. It's just, I mean, generally she's better in
All cars are
pretty much
different.
every aspect. I'm sorry, but poor Marvin, I really did drive him into the ground. Poor car. I do feel sorry for him because he was an absolute state. I mean, I didn't look after Mavis as well as I should have, but compared to how well I looked after Mavis, Marvin was. I kind of resented having to get a grey car, and I think that resentment just stayed with me until the
You
end.
got an orange one.
Yes, and I've got an orange one.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that's why we name things. We name things because it's easier to talk to them when we've named them, and talking to things, talking out loud, and verbal processing, and creating connections with plants and animals and cars and fidget toys and generally everything um,
Hmm.
is part of how we process.
I guess when you think about pets as well, like these little furry, what was I can't remember what the term I used earlier, but these little furry
Furry
things that
balls.
we essentially like, it's weird to think that
Fluffy thing.
my dog's ancestors used to be wild and used to hunt badgers and well maybe
Hunt
they didn't
badgers.
hunt
Did
badgers
you
when they
say
were
hunt?
wild.
I'm glad you said hunt because I heard something different.
Right. And what I need to rephrase this because like I was just saying the Dachshunds used to be in the wild and hunt badgers and that is not what happened. They were bred to hunt badgers. And now my dog sleeps 23 hours a day,
Mm.
has all her meals laid out for her.
Yeah,
I talk to her more than I talk to my husband.
yeah. I mean, my cat that's with us currently, Ted, is a grumpy old man. And he's very sad at the minute, but he's hopefully going to be happier when he gets to new sisters tomorrow. Um,
Mm.
but he's yeah, I mean, I don't know the connection with animals and the connection with because they have such personalities, the animals. I mean,
Mm.
cats are different to dogs, obviously, because they are a little bit more wild still. Like, I am fully preparing. When we went to meet the kittens on Saturday for the second time, we took my son on Saturday for the first time. And we're getting two kittens, and their personalities are just so far apart from each other from what we saw in the half hour we were there. Like, we had one, basically, one's autistic and the other's ADHD, essentially, is
Yeah,
what
we've
I've decided.
diagnosed them already.
Yeah. But, one of them was sort of just chilling. She got touched out really quickly because she's a kitten and my son was stroking her a lot. But she just came and sat. She posed for a photo. She just sort of sat, chilled. And the other one was just everywhere, just climbing and exploring and tunneling in the sofa and like completely different characters. So I'm excited to see how that translates to how they are here. And I'll be finding out tomorrow. But I'm fully expecting for them to start bringing animals in, which Ted has just stopped bringing in animals over the past 18 months or so. He was definitely a hunter. Thankfully, not badgers. Although we do have badgers at the bottom of our garden. Um, Ted did not
I
catch any
genuinely
badgers.
don't know what Burn would do if she saw a badger.
I mean, Ted did bring a squirrel once into the kitchen, so that was an interesting one. So I don't know. We'll see what happens, but I'm looking forward to the journey.
Mm.
Anyway,
That
that
can
is
be the animal tangent because we haven't got any animal. Well, we have got an animal fact, but it's not appropriate for this podcast.
we're not going to talk about anything that's slightly NSFW.
Well, I think we already have. We started the podcast with ferret bums, so
But that was just ferret bums, wasn't it?
that
I mean,
ship sailed.
but I think
What?
that's fine. I think we're not going to do any random animal tangents because it is very late and we started recording late. And if you've listened this far and you were looking forward to us talking about something related to animal genitalia, then we're about to disappoint you. But
Yeah.
please let us know if you were looking forward to it, and
A,
then
you're going
go
to be
into the
disappointed,
next
and
topic.
B, what are you listening to well, I was going to say what are you listening to a podcast about autism for, but we've brought this on ourselves, really, haven't we?
Yeah, I mean, we created a podcast about autism that generally
It's
has
also about.
animal bits. I mean, it's not. It's just, I was listening. I mentioned this earlier. I'm listening to a podcast with my fiance called Science Quickly, which is an American podcast. And they have recently, I think, started doing random animal facts at the end of their podcast. So if they could do it, then we
Yes,
can as
we're
well.
trendsetters.
I think that we came first, but that might just be me. It
Which
could just
came
be a
first, the tism or the science?
science. Yeah, I think we know the answer to that one, don't we? So probably best not try and fight that.
Not today, anyway.
No.
That's for another time.
Are you talking about your crab or are you not gonna?
No, I think I'll save my crab content. It could be one of those things that's like teased but never actually fully spoken about.
Yeah.
If you want to know about my crabs, no.
You've done
If
it.
you
There we
want to
go.
know about a crab,
There we go.
that I am a fan of.
Ask us.
Just need to keep listening to this podcast.
And nobody's asked us yet, have they?
No, so nobody cares about my crabs.
I do. I care about you, Crabs, Claire. I do. Anyway, I think we're going to leave it there for this week.
On my crabs.
On new crabs again.
Yeah.
So join us again in a couple of weeks when we'll be talking about kittens,
Mm.
potentially dentists, and who knows what other big things are going to happen in my life in the next fortnight. This has been quite an intense time.
If you've got any suggestions for topics that you'd like us to cover, then you can email us at that'llbethetism@gmail.com or look on our link tree, which is at
linktr.ee/that'llbethetism. If you would like to rate us on your podcast provider of choice or on YouTube, that would be gratefully received as well. And thanks for listening.